When I was a first-year elementary teacher, back in 1982, my colleagues and I had to report to work 1 week before the school year officially started. My principal took me down to my classroom, which consisted of nothing more than classroom furniture and stacks of textbooks. As I looked at my classroom, I could see that any supplemental supplies such as a classroom library, some beanbag chairs, a box of manipulatives, and a decorative carpet had either been taken by the classroom teacher who had left or had been scrounged by other teachers to supplement their own supplies.
"Here is your classroom. Have a good school year,"
said the principal. And with that he walked off. Like many novice teachers, I had been metaphorically dropped in the deep end of the pool. My success or failure as a teacher would now depend entirely upon me. I did not have a mentor. My school did not have a grade-level chairperson who would look after me. There was no introduction and orientation session for new teachers. My empty desk did not even have any office supplies. I had to provide my own stapler, tape dispenser, notebook paper, pencils, and pens. The furniture in the classroom was not in very good condition. Some of the desks wobbled. Although I had a table for small reading groups, I had no student chairs. I later learned from a school custodian that some teachers had taken what few supplies had been left. They had switched out their bad furniture for my furniture and had also taken all of my chairs. So here I was, a brand new first-year teacher. I had no supplemental resource materials. My classroom furniture was either missing or was defective. Despite having graduated from a school of education program, I didn't feel as though I really knew what I was doing. There was, after all, a huge difference between being a student teacher and a self-contained elementary classroom teacher. As a student teacher, I always knew that no matter what happened in class, I would always have the support and backing of the supervising instructor. No matter how badly I messed up as a student teacher, the supervising instructor was always there to set everything right. Now that I was on my own, there was just myself. If I messed up, there wouldn't be anyone to step in and to bail me out. This was a pretty scary thought. Here are some basic thoughts about what a novice teacher should do in getting their classroom ready for the first week of school. The first thing you need to do is to distinguish between your needs and your wants. A need is something that has to be done, otherwise you won't be able to function without it. You need lessons for the first week of school. You need to sort out your classroom management. You need a quick and easy way to take attendance. Wants are things that you would like to have. Most teachers would like their classrooms to look warm, welcoming, and engaging. Most teachers want their lessons to be creative. As the old adage goes, you have learned to crawl before you can walk, and you have to learn to walk before you can run. While there are some teachers who were born to teach, most of us have had to learn how to do our jobs. The process of learning how to be an effective teacher will usually take most people 2 to 3 years because of the time needed to accrue experience, while also learning from their mistakes. While having a well-organized classroom would be nice, it's also largely cosmetic and superficial. The heart of any classroom is the teacher. That's you. The responsibility for instruction will also fall upon you. If you're just starting out and feel overwhelmed at the thought of having to create your first week of lessons, don't worry. Things have changed since I first started teaching in 1982. Some districts now have curriculum coordinators who have mapped out timelines for what teachers should be teaching throughout the year. Some schools may also require teachers of a given department or grade level to plan lessons together so that everyone is teaching the same instructional objectives at the same pace. If you do not have access to a district-issued curriculum pacing guide, or if you don't teach at a school where teachers plan lessons together, you will need to create your own pacing guide. To do this, you will first need a copy of your school calendar. Use Curriculum Engine, Google Calendar, or go old school with a paper calendar to copy all holidays, reduced schedule days, teacher in-service days, and testing and semester exam days on your calendar. By doing this, you will clearly identify all days that are available for instruction. You will also need a copy of your state's instructional standards for whatever it is that you'll be teaching. As a rough guide, count the number of instructional standards for a given subject that you will be teaching. Count the number of instructional days you will have. Divide the total number of instructional standards by the number of instructional days to get a rough idea of the number of days you will have to teach each standard. Please be aware that this will only be a rough estimate because some standards may need more time to be taught than others. As to why you need a pacing guide, the answer is quite simple. If you don't pace yourself and establish benchmark completion dates for having taught each standard, you could run out the clock and end the school year with one or more standards that were never taught. In terms of lesson planning, the easiest way for a novice to plan lessons is to use the teacher's edition for your classroom textbooks. Each teacher's edition will include a curriculum that includes advanced organizers to introduce a given lesson, suggestions for teaching the lesson itself, and reinforcement activities and lessons. The curriculum will also include review materials, quizzes, and tests. In order to teach, you need to have effective class management. All teachers should have posted expectations in their classrooms. My recommendation is to keep the rules as simple as possible. When creating these rules, make sure that they align with your district's and school's policies. Here are some examples of different rules for different age levels. Students who break these rules need to face consequences. Unless the problem is serious, such as having a weapon on campus, starting a fight, or having drugs, most teachers have graduated consequences that start with a warning and then progress to changing a student's seat or contacting the parents. If the student continues to misbehave, he or she will receive a discipline referral. One of the biggest mistakes that are made by novice teachers is that they don't enforce their own rules. This can create problems if you give one student multiple warnings and never contact the parent, and then throw the metaphorical book at another student. The other student will then correctly complain that he or she didn't get the same number of warnings that were given to the other student. The best thing you can do when enforcing your expectations is to be firm, fair, and consistent. Regardless of any provocation, try not to raise your voice. Always keep your hands to yourself. Never, ever use inappropriate language when addressing a student. If you have an ongoing problem with a specific student, it is always a best practice to document all such incidents. Note the date, time, and location, along with a brief summary of what happened. This information will be useful if there is ever a teacher-parent conference, or if the school administration is considering suspension or even expulsion proceedings against a student. I typically wrote all such incidents in a small notepad that I kept in a pocket. At the end of the school day, I would transcribe the notebook into a Word file. Having a Word file made it easier to quickly find information about a specific student. Taking attendance for each class will be a daily requirement. These days, attendance is usually done online through a data management program like Infinite Campus. The easiest way to take attendance is to have a seating chart. You have the option of assigning seats or of allowing students to choose their own seats on the first day of class. Whenever I took attendance, I used a clipboard with a seating chart. I would then match the chart to where students were seated. Since some students will sometimes switch their seats, I got into the habit of announcing who was absent before I recorded the attendance. Believe it or not, I have a procedure for bathroom breaks. Since nothing is quite as disruptive during a class discussion as calling on a student with a raised hand, only to hear,
"Did I go to the bathroom?"
I taught my students to show me one finger if they needed to use the restroom. If I nodded my head, yes, they would then have to sign out on a bathroom attendance clipboard. On the clipboard they would record their name along with the date and time. They would then take a bathroom hall pass. When they returned from the bathroom, they would sign back into the class with the time they returned. They would then put the bathroom pass by the clipboard. Since teachers are responsible for students, it's always important to know where a student is. From time to time, a student may abuse the bathroom privilege by signing out and not coming back to class. Having a sign-out log will help to document when students ditch your class. If a student does ditch your class, it's important to let the office know as soon as possible. Under no circumstances should you ever leave your class to look for a missing student, since it's usually against district policy for a teacher to leave a classroom unattended. Having created a pacing guide, first week lessons, and classroom expectations, it is now time for you to set up your classroom. Start by arranging the classroom furniture the way you would like. Make a template of your classroom to use for taking attendance. Get a clipboard to hold your classroom seating chart. If you have multiple classes, you will need a blank chart for each class. Make sure you label each chart so that you will know which is which. It's always a good idea for teachers to post their classroom expectations. This will reduce the possibility that a student will claim that he or she didn't know that whatever they were doing was against your classroom rules. Posting your expectations will also allow you to create your first bulletin board display. All you really need for a classroom expectation board is some butcher paper to cover the board. You can print out your expectations using large font on several sheets of paper that you may then staple in place. If you have nice handwriting, you may also use laminated paper and hand print your expectations in large, easy-to-read words. The use of border will add a colorful accent to the board. Border trim is sometimes available through the school office. It may also be ordered online or purchased at a local teacher supply store. Butcher paper, printer paper, and basic office supplies are usually available through your school. You should ask a colleague or the office secretary where these supplies could be found. As a final piece of advice, I would suggest that you build downtime into your schedule. While I understand that you want to make a good first impression, if you work yourself to exhaustion and wind up burning out, you will not be doing yourself or your students any favors. A teacher's job has the potential to fill your every waking moment. There is always something that can be done. One of the secrets to not burning out on the job is to impose strict time limits for work. To stay healthy, fit, and to have the best possible attitude, you need time to rest, time to eat, and time to relax and to unwind. Welcome to the teaching profession. Please take care of yourself and have a wonderful school year.
If you like this video and would like to see more content, please click on the like and subscribe buttons.
If you have thoughts about future videos that you might want to see, please share your ideas in the comments below.